Pioneers of Esports podcast. Get ready.
All right. We ready to get the show on the road?
I think so.
All right, let's do this crap. All right, tell me when you get it started.
It's already started. I started when you told me to start it before, so it.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah.
So I guess we got some blooper reel outtakes.
Yeah.
All right, what's going on, everybody? It is great to see everyone out there. Today we have a very special guest. We have the one and only D-Lo in the house. What's going on, Dave?
Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for having me.
No, man, thanks for coming on. So let me give just a little bit of background here, because D-Lo has something that makes him very special in the world of the Nintendo World Champions. He is one of only 3 people in the world that can say they were a finalist in both 1990. I can't even say this one. This one's not even me. And 1994. I didn't make it in 1990. I made it in 94. Dave was one of the Jersey boys. He was one of the people that kind of traveled around with me, the winner, Mike Irosi, and the other 3 that will hopefully someday we'll get everybody on the show. In fact, at some point, I would love to do an episode with all of us going back and reliving the days of our...
That would be so fun.
Yeah.
My God. Yeah, that's a whole show in itself.
It is. It'd be a scary time because a lot of stories are going to come out that I'm sure we don't want to remember. But, you know, in general, I think it'd be a very interesting podcast. You know, we could kind of talk about some of the past. So, yeah, for once, I've got a childhood friend. I have known Dave going on about 31 years now, huh?
Yeah. Long time. Let's see. 87? From
Yeah,
87
about 87 on. 32
years.
years. 32 years I've had to know this bastard.
Yeah. Exactly.
You got Dorion to say a bad word. This is going to be amazing.
Yeah, so he's got a good point. There are, you know, it's interesting. Let's start out with that.
Yeah.
We're going to start out with that.
Yeah.
So, very interesting story. I don't know if people have noticed this, but there are 4 words that I never say.
Yeah.
Let's see, Dave, what's your memory like? Do you remember what those 4 words are and why I don't say those 4 words? Let's see if we can put you on the spot here.
All right. I know 2 for sure. The F
All right.
word,
Mm-hmm.
SHIT. Look, you got me talking like you now. Look, I won't say
I know.
This is how we were raised. Okay, this is getting weird right from the get-go. So those 2 words, and then actually I can't remember the other 2.
FSAB.
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 Oh yeah,
That's right.
is a-hole. Is that for a-hole?
It's just ASS in general. 'Cause
ASS
that was-
right, in general. Okay.
So why don't I say it? Let's see if you can remember the B word. Of course, you know what that one is.
Yeah, bitch, right?
Yeah. So why don't I say those 4 words? Go ahead and tell the world, because it was your fault.
Well,
Going back 30 years ago.
we made a bet.
What was the bet?
The bet was that I don't remember if it was over gaming or girls or whatever, but
Probably girls.
angry
No,
about-
it was.
we were angry about something, and I said, "Oh, please, Dorian, you're gonna curse, okay?" Like we got into some kind of argument, and he was like, "Oh, really? Don't test me because you know I will do this." And I said, "Yeah, okay, sure." And that bet has lasted for literally 30 years.
That's right.
Because of me betting him and saying he can't do it.
I am a stubborn bastard. Okay.
It-
And you told me that I can't do it. I can't go. And I said I could go the rest of my life without doing it.
Yeah.
And sure enough, that's what you caused. So anyway, for those of you who have ever wondered where that comes from and why I don't say those 4 words, now you know. That's where it all started.
Thank
This
God we never-
competitive bastard.
Yeah, I think I never put a monetary value on this or a time limit because I would have lost.
You would have lost. I'd have more money in my pocket. You'd have less. That's the way it would have went down.
Yeah,
So
You still got 40 years, dude. Don't count yourself out yet.
yeah,
it's true. I have plenty of time, and I don't know what
It's
you're talking
on-
about. You think I'm only going to live to 80 something? Do you see this youth right here? This radiant youth. You know, like, I
see that
zoom you.
stubble.
right.
The stubble,
Wait
the white
for the
stubble. Yeah, tell me about it.
I'm waiting for the day for it to happen.
It's never going to happen,
It'll be
buddy.
a dream come true.
So Dave and I have been very competitive through our lives. Dave pushed me to new levels when it comes to competition. He introduced me to Mike. I mean, like, Dave has been one of the most competitive players I've ever seen. And we're going to talk a little bit later about the path that Dave has taken to here. But for those that don't know, and I love the fact that you have your Twitch shirt on right now. And if you don't mind, go ahead and show the crowd. Make sure you're following this guy on Twitch. This guy's awesome. He plays Tetris extremely competitively. Somehow or another, he managed to be better today than he was when he was a kid and playing like 20 hours a day. Because I know I used to play with him. I know how much he used to play. Yeah. And somehow he is now surpassed within, how long have you been playing now? About 6 to 8 months?
No, a little bit longer. I started in July July. I went to the competition, the East Coast qualifier for the CTWC, and then August was when I got the NES and the game, and I started playing like officially in August of last year. I don't know how many months that is right now, but
Almost a year.
Yeah, about almost a year.
So in the span of almost a year after not playing the game, because we're going to talk a little bit about this too, because you disappeared out of gaming for a while. But how long has it been since you played Tetris?
Okay, so before last year, you mean, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So the last time I played that game, it had to have been. All right, so we went to the Powerfest in '94, and I know I wasn't playing it because we were practicing so much for the '94. So I would say probably around '93, because that's when I started to have some family issues, and like the Powerfest in '94 was like a great thing, but we'll go into that later. But
so 25 years.
Sure, I was starting to get out of gaming in '94, '95, but '93 I would say was the last time I played Tetris. So what is that? 26 years ago?
Yeah.
No, not including this year. So 25 years.
It's a good round number.
25 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly. Yeah. So 25th anniversary of the time that you quit Tetris, and here you are killing it. You've got your new personal best. You're on pace to a max out. We've seen plenty of clips of that. So yeah, guys, follow him on Twitch. Watch his first max out. It's going to be really exciting. He gets all of the top players going into his stream because he's becoming a top player himself.
And figures we were late starting because you were on Twitch with your dirty mistress Tetris.
Yeah. Thanks for keeping us waiting. We really appreciate that.
Sorry, guys. I literally was streaming tonight for about 4.5 hours. I had the current champion, Joseph Staley, on stream watching me. I had Harry Hong and I had Yanni, and all on stream watching me, which I still to this day get blown away by that. Like, I'm not saying they come on all the time and like stay on there for hours, but they'll stop in if they have time and they'll say hi and check out a few games, which I totally appreciate. Mm-hmm. And it's like crazy to me because it's like, wow, these guys are like watching me. Meanwhile, they're the legends, So, but that's what happened tonight. I totally just got lost in the streaming, which ever since I've gotten back into gaming since last year, I cannot tell you how it's changed my life. Like, I am just having a ball. Like, I feel almost like a kid again. And nice. Like running into all my friends again, Dorion from the past. It's just been like a total like 180 of my life. It's so weird. Like, I just can't explain it.
Yeah, just recently, Dave did join us at the Retro City Fest. We had Dave come out along with some others. I'm actually wearing my reproduction shirt today for the 90 Nintendo World Championships. That's good stuff. But yeah, we did like a little mock-up tournament where we had the setup that was pretty similar to what we were doing back in 90. Yep. And, we had a bunch of the finalists come out. It was a lot of fun. So, Dave, that was your first re-entry into the scene. What did you think of your first little taste? Because they also had a CTWC qualifier, Classic Tetris World Championships qualifier, happening right on the opposite side of the hall there. So tell me about that. Like, what did you think of your first little re-entry to the scene?
That weekend, I cannot tell you how much fun I had. It was the most amazing time, and it's not just during the competition. I mean, we hung out after the show. We went to dinner, like all the reminiscing, the stories, talking and hanging out and laughing and cracking jokes. And I mean, and of course the competition itself. I mean, what a weekend. I have some back issues, and let me tell you, I barely felt any pain. I swear that this weekend made me see that sometimes pain and stuff like that is really in your head, because I had so much fun. I don't even recall having any back issues. I mean, that's awesome. How much fun I had. Like, seriously.
I'd love to hear that.
I was going to joke that, gaming is sort of, your illicit drug with less side effects, but it looks like the actual side effects are there too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, right. Totally.
Yeah. Yep.
Going back to Tetris real quick, if I could just...
Of course, please.
Another thing I wanted to point out is that when we were playing back when the game first came out, nobody was really starting on levels higher than 9. I don't even think people realized the A and push start. So, I mean, the highest we would start is 9. And last year, I remember when I went to the CTWC qualifier, I was blown away that these people were starting on the level 18. I was like, I mean, I knew, of course, about starting from that level years after, but I was never playing starting from 18. So even just last year, I mean, it's almost like I've had to relearn the game again because I've never starting on 18. So to come as far as I have, that's also been like a total eye opener. I didn't think it was possible because I remember when I was there, I was like, I'm not gonna ever be able to compete. I'm not gonna be able to do this. And then it just like it all came back to me from when I was a kid, you know. And then the all-time score from when I was a kid, just this past year, a couple of months ago, it just blew my mind. So
yeah, and you're consistently getting 800s. That's
every session. I had
phenomenal.
820.
Absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah. I just
it's only a matter of time till you get that max out.
Yeah.
So let's go back in time. Okay. So we're gonna go way back in time. We met in '87. Let's skip ahead a couple years. What do you remember about the Nintendo World Championships 1990? Like, how did you find out about it? What was it that made you want to try it out?
Right. So, my first introduction was basically the movie The Wizard, which came out the year before. I believe it was 1989. And I don't remember how I saw it. I know obviously I saw it in theaters. Were we together when we all saw it?
We were. Oh yeah, absolutely. Me, you, and Marla.
I remember some things, and
yep.
I remember.
Keep in mind, these two grew up in the same building, not the same neighborhood, not
That's
neighbors.
A good point.
Literally in the same building. So I mean, as a Midwestern kid, that dynamic is odd. I don't relate to that, so it's really interesting to know how that goes down. But keep going. Sorry.
And only 2 floors apart. I was on the 6th floor. He was on the 8th floor.
And you almost lived at my house anyway.
Oh,
I mean, I can't even think of days that happened. I don't think there were days that happened that you weren't there at least 8 to 10 hours. So, you know.
Oh, yeah. It was
we played constantly.
It was like his mom was like my mom. It was like a, second family.
Right.
So anyway, so I saw the movie and we saw the movie and I was blown away. I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. The competition aspect. And at that time, I don't think the NWC was, put out in public yet. So it was just like a thing that, wow, this would be cool if it happened. And then when it was announced later in the year, it was like, oh my God, I have to attend this thing. We were all like that. It was like, we have to go to this. And then, so my first time going to it was actually in New York. And that was way Jacob Javits. And I remember I begged my father to take me. So we went, and to this day, I don't know if I can ever forgive him. We got there, and the place was so crowded. The line was going around the block. And I remember we went up to the doors where the line was. Everybody's looking at us like, you are not sneaking in front of us. And we looked in through the window, and it was just like this, like sea of gaming screens and like floods of people, and you saw the competition stage way in the background. And I was like, I will wait on whatever line I have to get in there. My father did not want to wait on the line and literally had to leave. And we never even went in. And to this day, I'm like, who knows what would have happened? Like, okay, I probably wouldn't have won, but at least it would have been fun to go in and maybe get, some playing time and check the place out. But yeah, that killed me because he didn't want to wait on the line. But whatever. And then a couple of months went by, and then they announced they were going to come to Jersey. I was like, yes, we got to go. Okay. And then they came to Jersey, and that was in September. And it was weird because I was just going to be entering high school. So it was weird because I was nervous about that aspect, and you also had this competition coming up. And that was basically how I got introduced to it. And and then we went during the weekend, and then Sunday came, and it's all like a blur, honestly.
I know. Same here.
Like, it just happened, and next thing you know, they're like handing you the trophy, and Dave Lopez is the winner. It's like, and people taking pictures. It was just like a blur. Like, honestly, I can't tell you specific things. Like, I do remember before going on stage, like little things, like when we had to qualify, and my score was a 993, and at the time people were already hitting 1 million, and I remember being nervous. I was like, I don't know if that's going to get me on the stage. And so what they would do, once they took your score down, they would have you go to this waiting area alongside the stage, and we were in these seats, And
So this is in the semifinals, right, on Sunday?
this is in the
Correct.
semifinal, right? And
So to recap, everybody who made past the first 2 rounds were invited to the semifinals on Sunday.
Mm.
And then everybody played a 1 time or 2 rounds if there was a lot of finalists, which I'm sure there was in Jersey. And they only took the top 7 scores. So this is the brutal knockdown. This is your one moment. So okay, keep going. I just want to kind of give a primer to everybody.
And also, I have in the back of my mind that if my father didn't want to wait on a line in New York, just across the river, there's no way I'm getting another chance to do this in another city. This is literally my one chance to do anything, to even attend this thing.
Right.
So I go to that waiting area, and there's a line of us, waiting. So when I first get there, I'm right against the stage, like the first person to be called. I'm feeling great, but then other people are behind me still playing, getting their scores in. So
It's the longest 6 minutes of your life.
Ooh, yeah.
Yes. Well, actually more than 6 minutes, because it was multiple. I was like one of the first people to play. So that's why I was up there. But there were still tons of people playing. So as they would finish, as the rounds would finish, people were coming in. All right, this guy got a million. All right, this guy has 1,000,001. And as they're coming in, my seat, I'm literally getting moved back. And I'm like, I'm literally.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah. So now I'm in seat 6. Only 7 get on the stage. Mm-hmm. And the last guy comes in. I think he had just hit 2 million, or maybe just shy of it, 1.8 or 1.9. And that puts me in the 7th seat. So now the next person, if they get over a 993, I'm out.
Yeah.
Finally, that guy comes in. We're all talking to each other. We're like, like panicking. Finally, they cut it off, and they said, "That's it. All right, you guys are through." I was like, "Oh my God." I can't even tell you how panicked I was. I honestly thought that was it when I got to the seat 7. And then they had us go up to the side of the stage, and there were like so many people in the crowd. So that was something else that I did. I had a strategy. Because, when you're younger, you get a little shy or whatever. I wasn't like I am now. I mean, I kind of was, but like being in front of all those people the first time, it was like, ugh. So my thing was I would kneel down at the station because it was kind of like diagonal. Mm-hmm. So it would be good if you're standing up, you would just look down at it. It's facing you perfectly. But I would want to get close up to the screen. So I would bend down. It would put the TV screen right at eye level. Yeah.
Right.
I would put the TV screen right at eye level. So it just blocked out the crowd. Like you could just literally see my hat on my head. That was it.
Right. Were you wearing the painter's cap?
That's what Mike did too. He sat down. It's interesting.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And
were you wearing the painter's cap?
I was wearing the painter's cap. That white painter's cap.
Wish I could find.
That's
mine.
right.
I wish I
have one.
I wish I had that. Not that I would wear it, but it would be cool to have.
Well, I'm going to real quick just go ahead and side story this. I had a ton of those painter's caps, and my sister's father decided to make them truly painter's caps and started doing all of his painting in my painter's caps. I still make fun of him to this day about how much money he threw away by using all of those for painter's caps.
At least save one.
I've got one somewhere.
Oh,
yeah. But it's still not the best of shape.
Oh,
I should just go out and buy one of the nice ones and just keep it for part of the collection.
Yeah, so. Right. Definitely. So they had us go on the side of the stage, and then Terry comes over, Terry Lee Torick, the announcer, and he's trying to get like a little tidbit of information. So when he announces us, he'll be able to, make it exciting when he calls us out.
Right.
And I just remember that moment when he started, like when he talked to me, I was like, holy crap, this is real. Like I'm really about to go on the stage. And like
you're about to change your life.
Yeah, basically. And like I can't tell you the panic that came over me. But not like oh my God, I'm gonna pass out here. It was like a fun panic, but like cool it down.
14 years old?
14.
Yeah, 14 years old. So here you are on the big stage at 14 years old. Okay. Yeah. First time being on the big stage.
First time ever.
I mean, we've always been competitive. So there was a little bit of aspect of, you knew that you were good enough to get there. Yeah. But tell me about your mindset once you realized, look, this is it. I made it. I'm on the big stage. I need to be number one. What was going through your head at that time?
Right. So once they called us out, and I went to my screen 7, and then it was like something came over me. As soon as I got to my screen, of course they were announcing everybody 7-1. So I was the first one to get announced. When I got to that screen, it was like suddenly something came over me and like everything just blocked out. I didn't hear anybody else being announced. I had no clue who I was playing. I had no clue of what they scored, which probably helped me because it probably would have made me nervous hearing the other scores that they came in with. And I just blocked out and I was just staring at the screen and I just held the controller. And when he counted it down and we went, it was like, it went from being nervous and like panic to like eerily like calm. Like I can't. Yeah, like almost like I was like excited for the moment. It went from being nervous to like, let's get this going, let's do this. And I focused in and I just played the hell out of the game. And I wound up on that specific game when all 7 were playing, that wound up being the highest score I had scored yet in the tournament. And I remember it because I have a picture of it that my father had taken. It was 1,229,000.
Right.
That was my highest score at the time. At this time, you have to remember nobody was doing that. The trick of the Mario, die 2 times.
Right.
On the people were searching the full,
For perspective, how many times have you played it? The tournament cartridge.
Literally, we never got into New York, so it was just that weekend. So I mean,
did you play it multiple times before the semifinals began? Okay, but maybe 6 or 7,
maybe 10.
Yeah, I was gonna say it was a bit more than that. What we did was, I mean, there was a lot to do at the Powerfest. Okay, I mean they had you make your own music video. They had all of this crazy stuff, right?
Yeah.
But we just got into line over and over again because we were like, we're going to get as much practice in as possible. And this was the same thing we did in 94 as well. Oh, wow, this brand new game that's not out yet that everyone wants to play.
Right.
Don't care. We're going to go play and compete, and we're going to continue to get better at this because we're going to be number one. We're going to be the best. We're going to do whatever we have to do to win.
Right, because in our heads, it was like we were in the movie The Wizard. It was like, oh my God, we're living the dream. We're living the movie. All right, that stuff is nice. Let's get to the competition.
And you went there both Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay, just checking. Okay.
Yeah. I actually have my father. He had saved like all this stuff, which I love to this day that he did that. Even though I hate him for not getting us in New York, but I actually have one of the stubs to get in, and he didn't save the Sunday one, but we have the Saturday one, and it's cool. I don't know if I should get it. I don't want to go off stream, but it's cool. It shows East Rutherford, and it costs $3.50 to get.
Yeah, it looks like a sports ticket. I mean, it's nothing spectacular.
Right, a sports stub. Yeah, exactly. So it was cool that he kept that stuff, and
that is awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was.
Well, since we love to preserve history here, which is obviously the point of the podcast in the first place, we appreciate your father for doing all of that because that is saving a piece of history for us.
Yeah, totally.
Absolutely. So even though we can fault him for not getting you into the New York location, I can definitely forgive him because he kept all of the stuff that was important. Besides, you made it anyway. You made it in. You sure you missed New York, but you made it into New Jersey, and by doing so,
you saved Rob Bianco, so that you let Rob have his
Right, that's true. He won 12-17 in New York. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So you're on. We'll continue, but you're on stage, and only the top 2 advance in this round.
Right.
So if you're up against a bunch of killers, you've seen all these people pass your score.
Yes.
And you have your best game of the tournament, like your tunnel. Okay, so take it away from that point.
Right. All right. So it wraps up. I get the 1,229,000, and we're looking around at the other scores, and the other kid, he scored a little bit higher than me. Might have been a 1-4 or 1-5. So we wind up being the top 2. Everybody else goes off the stage. At this point, I'm like, what? I'm in the final 2? Like, really? Like, did that just happen? Like, I'm thinking, okay, these guys that, because when we were waiting at the chairs, they were coming in with 1-8s, 1-9s, thinking, all right, my 1-2 isn't good enough. Who knows if they had a bad game? I got final 2. So
huge difference because you're on stage, you're staring at the crowd. When you're doing the qualifier and the semifinals, you're in your little pod. You can be in your own area. So
exactly. So now they call us up. all right, you guys are the final two. Holy cow. What was good about it is you went right into the next game. So it wasn't like, all right, let's do some interviews. All right, come back in 15 minutes. I was in the zone. So I was like, let's get this. Let's keep it going. Because they just had you immediately go and do final two right after the seven. So it was me and the kid. I feel bad. I don't remember his name. I know from watching a lot of the other ones, they knew the competitor they faced. I feel bad. I just remember the winners from the city. But yeah, so we did final two. And I think I remember watching throughout the day, and that kid, he was always getting on stage, and he was always in the. What they had was on the stage. They had for the seven. They had 6 screens across the stage.
Right.
And one person sat in a throne who had the. They were considered royalty. You know,
it kind of messed up the sci-fi motif of the stage, but it was still I remember when I got on stage in the qualifying rounds, like the one kid, I want the throne, he just ran up there. So he was obviously the guy like you guys who played over and over again. But
yeah. It was like that, like for when they were doing the qualifying and stuff, like whoever came first got in there. But for the finals rounds, it was whoever had the highest score got to go in there. And that kid, I remember him always being in that seat. And I feel like it helped me in a way when we got to final two, because I don't think he was used to playing on stage in front of the people on the lower screens.
Yeah, because you were in the far back on the throne. It wasn't like right up.
Right.
You were like the drummer in a rock band.
Yeah. So I feel like maybe that gave me an edge or something, because I just remember, I don't know if he had his best game. Well, obviously not. But like I think he was having issues from what I remember. And then again, I just got in this zone when I started playing, and it was like there was no fear. I didn't feel any pressure. It was just, I'm just going to play my game and see what happens. And I did that, and before I knew it, the whole thing was over, and I won, and I was blown away. And
how was the scores? Was it close?
I think it was just a couple of 100,000 apart. I honestly don't remember. I don't even remember what my winning score was.
And back then, that's pretty significant.
I know. I wish I remember what it was. I only remember the top 7 one that got me to the final two, the 1-2.
Right.
But when I won that, what was so funny too was that my father and my stepmother, they didn't really take this stuff seriously. Like even from when we were hanging out, like before this competition, oh, you guys are playing video games, whatever. All right, have fun. You know, so when we went to this thing, that was part of the reason he didn't really care if we got into the New York thing. He was like, oh, we're just going to see some video games. So yeah. So when we went to the East Rutherford stop, it was kind of his same thing. He was like, all right, whatever, have fun. When he saw I was getting on stage for the final 7 and then the top 2, I saw him like changing. By time,
straight out of a movie.
Yeah. By time I won the thing and it was over, he was acting more of a kid than I was.
Yeah.
Jumping around like a maniac.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I was like, oh, now you want to be.
Yeah, now you're excited. Now that you might win a trip to California.
Right, because now I'm the minor, so you get to go on this thing, you know?
Yeah. You know, it's funny. Very similar story. I mean, you know my father very well. You knew my father since he's been dead for many years. But he was the same way. He was awesome. I love my father too. But so he was kind of the same way. You know, it was why are you wasting your time going to these competitions? You're never going to win this and blah, blah, blah. So, of course, I qualified week 2. And as soon as I did, I'm like, hey, so Dad, I won that trip to California. When are we going? Well, we're not. I'm taking Mom. What do you know? You can't take. You said I wasn't going to win. Why would I take you? You know, so I mean, obviously, my mother wasn't going to go, and he did, of course, go. But you know, it's just funny to hold it against him because you know.
Yeah, you're right.
What are you wasting your time? You can't win that.
Yeah.
So let's back it up just a little bit because it is interesting when you think about where we grew up, right? I mean, we didn't have the best of neighborhoods. We did a lot of trouble in that area, right? You know, there were
in that building.
We were. There's a little bit of a force field around us, you know. Somehow we made it out, you know, and so on and so forth. So, congratulations to us for that. But more importantly, and the reason why I bring this up, what is it that made you get into competitive gaming instead of running the streets and joining the gangs and everything else that all of our friends were doing? I mean, you know, if we think back to even Shielded in the Building, We know that there was a particular family that ran the streets of Newark stealing cars, and we hung out with them too. How is it that you ended up becoming a competitive gamer?
Okay. One, we could have a whole other show, like separate from gaming, just on that building. We could write a novel on that building, the stories. But anyway, getting back to your question, two things. The reason I didn't get mixed up with that crowd was, one, I would have to give credit to my grandparents. They like really watched over me and wouldn't even let me get in trouble. And then there's my father, and he struck the fear of God into me. This man, I to this day am nervous sometimes to even have people come over the house, okay, or touch something, or I mean, I didn't have a chance to get in trouble, okay, because he would have been on top of me. And then the gaming part of it, because I couldn't do anything or go anywhere, I got into the games, and I was actually in. I had an Atari, when I was younger, so it kind of stuck with me. I was never into it competitively though, but once we got into the building, we moved into the Doric, and I met Dorion, and he was heavy into the gaming and stuff. And so since I couldn't go out because my father wouldn't let me, it was just. We just got into this gaming and playing it day and night. And I mean, literally some nights not sleeping, breaking night, going into the next morning, playing games.
I got a question. Do you remember the Final Fantathon?
Final Fantathon? Well, I know that's Final Fantasy, right?
Yeah. So we did I can't remember exactly what the deal was, but we did a 24-hour straight session of playing Final Fantasy, trying to go through it as many times as we could within one.
I do recall that. Oh my God. Dorion was the master of Final Fantasy.
What's the most ridiculous party you would play in that game?
Wait, Dorion? What was it? I didn't hear the question.
So he was asking what was the most ridiculous party that we did. And I don't remember. So here's the problem. I don't remember what we did during like the different things that we did like that for Final Fantathons. But back then, one of the claim to fame was beating it with just the single thief. And that was like going through the entire game with just one thief and beating it with just one thief.
I was thinking like 4 white mages or something.
We
but
did
you're
that
going
too.
even. Okay.
See, that role-playing games were totally Dorion's thing. I mean, he was the master of it. I was more of a spectator, although I was still part of the party, but I was more like watching him.
I tried to get everybody into RPGs. In fact, at one point, Nintendo Power did a giveaway where if you subscribe for 1 year, you get a copy of Dragon Warrior. So what I did was I subscribed for like 5 years and gave a copy to all of my friends so that everybody would have a copy of Dragon Warrior, because I wanted other people to kind of experience what I enjoy, you know. So it was one of those things where I was like, everybody's going to own a copy of Dragon Warrior now.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Oh man.
Yeah. So I think what it really comes down to, in my opinion, I think that it really just came to, it was the thing that kind of brought us all together. Yeah. And Marlo was a big part of that too. So the memories that I have of the way that we kind of really got into gaming was the fact that we didn't have much money growing up. Obviously, none of us did. We were all, struggling. But
that's what
by pulling. Yeah. And absolutely, it bonded us together, and we were able to kind of say, okay, we can't afford to buy every game, so you buy this one, I'll buy that one, Marlo will buy this one. This way we can get the largest pool of games possible so we could stay relevant and play as many things as possible. So yeah, shout outs to Marlo too, who I hope will eventually see this episode and laugh about it, because
I'm Marl.
Marl, yeah. You remember where the name Marl came from? Like, we used to put that into Final Fantasy because we couldn't fit her whole name because there's only 4 characters.
Oh my God.
Craziness.
So memories. Silly memories, but funny,
Silly memories indeed. All right. So what were some of the games? What's the first game that you remember saying, I'm gonna be competitive in this game. I want to be the best at this game?
Well, it was as dumb as it sounds, it was the first game that came with the Nintendo, Super Mario Brothers. I remember loving that game and I have to finish this game and going through it, and it just through the years. I mean, it was really like I would be like that with almost every game. Contra, some of the games drove me crazy. Kid Icarus, Metroid, some of those games drove me absolutely insane. But
86 was the best year. I don't care what anyone says. 86 put out all of my favorite games of all time. That was the year. Kid Icarus, Metroid, like all of these things hit in 86.
yeah, it was so much fun. I remember playing with you Contra. We would have so much fun in that game. Like we would pretend we were actually the guys in the, like talk and yell at each other. Like we just had so many silly, things that we did that were so funny. But I mean, kind of like overall, Super Mario Brothers was definitely the first game that I was competitive. And then once, because that was the first game I had with the system, and then it just became a thing. Like every game, I would I want to beat this game so bad, and even if it was like a silly like sports game, just try to get the highest score or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I of course I'm going to have to ask this question as well. So I remember obviously the SNES came out in 91, right? And at that point, it's in your rearview mirror. What was school like? You're going back to school as a gamer now. You've crossed into a professional gamer in the sense that now you've actually gotten prize, So what was that like?
I remember, if I could go back to the 90 NWC real quick, that year I was starting high school, and I think we had started that week before the weekend of the NWC event in East Rutherford. And I remember that first few days, I was like, oh my God, I do not like high school at all. I was so nervous. I didn't get along with anybody. No, I was like totally a nerdy kid. Nobody, was really talking to me. I was like, holy cow, because I came from Catholic school in the neighboring town of Jersey City. So it's not even like I had any friends going into the high school from grammar school. It was literally all new people. And what was funny, that weekend of the NWC, when I won that event, when I went in Monday morning and I told a few people about it, I like suddenly became like, you won that Nintendo thing? Oh,
nice.
Then suddenly that thing, I literally think the NWC thing like saved my high school life.
Probably.
Not that I became like a super popular person, I wasn't, but it like made people, like it made me able to have some friends.
You got out of the base. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So then now let's fast forward just a little bit. I mean, we continued to play. I mean, I can't remember for sure, but did you get into the whole Street Fighter thing?
In the arcades, I remember we would go to I think it was called Biggie's.
Yeah.
What was it called?
Down at Mr. Biggs down in Hoboken.
Mr. Biggs. That's what it was. Mr. Biggs. We would sometimes go to the place in Hoboken, and then we went to a place in Union City or West New York. Those blocks get all intertwined.
That was Union City, the B place, right? Wasn't that?
Remember, it was
Beeline Arcade.
Beeline, that was it.
Freak, do I remember this? I don't even know.
Yes, that was on Burger Line. It was called Beeline because Burger Line.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I didn't remember if you played. So you played Street Fighter competitively? I
did play that competitively. Was I very good? Not necessarily, but I love to play it still.
Awesome. So what was your focus during those years leading up until the 94 Powerfest?
What for specifically Street Fighter?
No, like what were the games that you were enjoying playing? Just like
when Tetris was out, which came out obviously the year before the NWC. From the minute Tetris came out, I love that game. To this day, that's my number one favorite game, NES Classic Tetris. So you had that, and then for the arcade, it was Street Fighter, and I remember I would always pick Ryu, or for some reason I hated Ken. I don't know. It just I couldn't do Ken.
It's actually kind of funny.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I had to be Ryu. But anyway, so
wasn't his stage technically in Jersey? I mean, it was East Coast on a dock, right?
It was a dock on the East Coast. Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're just called Jersey for the fun of it.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. And so I would love playing that competitively, and in the arcades, and I would say those were the two main video games that I love to play competitively, like aside from just privately, like with other people. Even if it was Tetris, we would always push each other. All right, I got this score. What are you going to get? You know? And then, of course, in the arcades, it was Street Fighter, which Dorion would always dominate. but that's another story,
So the reason why I asked that question is because it's going to lead in, because we're obviously going to talk about the finals, your experience in 90 at the finals and everything else. The reason why I asked that question is because the time period, I can't remember this for whatever reason, the time period between the 90 Powerfest and the 94 Powerfest, I can't for whatever reason remember if you were still acting competitively, if you were really into that, because when it came to 94, we were obviously traveling around, but I don't remember you coming to all of the events with us.
No, yeah. By that time, I was starting to, which I'm not going to go into detail, but I was starting to have some issues with the family. And so by time, so let's say 90 was NWC. And then 91, 92, I was still in the dark with you guys. 93 was when my grandmother had died. And that's kind of when the whole family started to fall apart. And that's kind of when everything changed. And then we wound up moving from the Doric
to Secaucus, right?
Right. And
I forgot about that.
Yeah. And then once I got pulled away from the Doric and all my friends, it was like, and then of course I'm becoming, close to working age, and then I'm starting to work now. Remember, I'm a year older than everybody.
Right.
So now I'm about to start working. So it was like I didn't want it to happen, but it just like I got pulled in that direction, and I just got pulled out of gaming because of family stuff.
Well, I'm going to say that makes it even more impressive that you were able to qualify in 94.
Yeah. When I heard about the tournament, it was like, holy crap, this is like 1990 again. We got to do this, I remember being a little upset. I was like, I wish they could do Tetris again. But I was like, I get it. They got to put new games. And then Dorian and I and everybody, we became this mission to go to the cities, and we're going to go to the finals. We're doing this. And then somehow, again, I didn't qualify in Jersey. I remember going with you guys and Mike to the PC Richard, I think it was, in Wayne.
Yes. Yep. Wayne, New Jersey.
Right. And I played. I didn't make it. But then it was maybe a couple of weeks or months later, I went to the stop that I won, which was in Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania. Yep. And I think, if I remember correctly, only Jason Provost was with me. And
no, I was there. That's the one where I met Kathleen Lilly.
Okay, right. I wasn't. I know it wasn't the whole group.
Right. No, that one was very thin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that particular run, and just to kind of fill in a little bit of blanks here for those that are just kind of tuning in to our story, what had happened was the first one that we went to was in Wayne, New Jersey.
Yeah,
we were all expecting Mike IROC to win that. Another competitor, his name was James Sorge. He managed to beat Mike that weekend, and everyone was shocked. Okay, because the guy who ran the tournament figured Mike's going to win it. I figured Mike's going to win it. We all just were like, Mike's going to win this. But somehow he managed to lose in the very grand finals.
Yeah.
So the second week, we went out to Ohio. Pennsylvania. And Mike ends up winning in Pennsylvania. Yeah, right. Week 3, we go to Cincinnati, and I win. And then from there, we just started going to as many as we could, trying to get the rest of us. There was actually 7 of us that we were planning on qualifying. And that would have been Rick Kogi, who actually did qualify.
Yep.
Jason Provost, who also qualified. John Basson, who qualified. Dave Lopez, who qualified. Mike and I, who qualified first. Yep. And then right after that, there was one more who didn't make it, and his name was John Jason Orlando. So we traveled to about 20 cities trying to make sure that we got everybody qualified. But the ones who made it right away, it was just right in order. It was Mike, then me, then Dave, and then Jay. And then after that, it was like, well, let's see if we can get other people qualified. So that's kind of how that went down. The reason why you don't remember anybody else being there was because it was just me, you, and Jason at that one.
Okay.
After that, it was always the whole crew where Mike came out, Jason Orlando came out, and everybody else. Now, I don't remember how many events you went to, but I remember you being in Boston.
Yeah.
But you'd already qualified by
then. Was
then.
Boston the Walmart? Was that one?
It was the second story one. That's all that I remember, was it being it was on. No, wait, you know what? Maybe that was
the ones that I remember going to, besides the one I won, which was a Sears, and then the PC Richards in Wayne, New Jersey. I remember there being a Walmart that we went to, and then there's a funny story. There was one that was in a mall. Don't ask me what the name of the mall was.
That's the one I'm thinking of, the second floor. Yeah.
Should I tell that story about
Do it.
happened with me?
Absolutely.
All right. So
Honestly, I don't remember it, so I want to hear it.
okay.
Yeah.
So I had already qualified. I had already won my city in Sears in Pennsylvania. That was done. So I had already won. So I went. I don't know who we were trying to get to win that weekend, but we were at this mall, and I figured, the hell, it's qualifiers. Let me get some practice in. I'm there anyway. Let me play. So I wind up getting this insane score. So it gets me into the qualifying rounds. So I'm like, all right, this is interesting. I'm like, all right, there's no way I'm going to make it, to the next round. I'll play it, just to have fun, whatever. It gets me another game in. So I wind up playing. That gets me into the next level. I wind up having another good game. So now this wasn't done like 90 NWC. They didn't have it be one thing right after another, like top 7 to top 2 to the winner. They played the games like they would take a break. So when I got that score, I think it was you, Dorian. I was like, holy crap, what am I going to do? If they find out that I'm playing this again, I already qualified
Right.
out of this tournament, I won't even get my city win. I'm like panicking like a maniac. So I literally, as they were calling my name, I ran out of the mall. And
I do remember this. Yeah.
I want to ask you what, it wasn't the final 2, but it was like maybe final 4, or like I was in deep into the thing. I don't know how I got there. I shouldn't have never let it happen, but I ran out of the mall, and I don't know how it ended. And whoever won that stop, I wish I could remember the city to see who it was. They won. I was glad, but never forget that. I was like, I'm going to get in hot water.
What's funny is
again.
what you did actually ended up being something that we did later on, trying to get Jason qualified.
That's right. That's when that plan.
Yes. So we hatched up a horrible plan. I'm sorry, everybody. We were bad people.
Instead of stealing cars, you were stealing championships. But
we were trying to steal championships. It didn't work, so it really doesn't matter.
But at least everybody knows now it started innocently, because I thought I was just getting some practice rounds in. No clue I was going to actually get far into the thing. And then that's how we realized, wait, we could do this.
Yeah. So what we did was, obviously, I think it was John Basson, Mike Iorosi, and I had already qualified at whatever state by the time that we were at whatever state we were in. So we all put up freaking amazing scores because we could just do that. And we were in the top 7 because they only took top 8, sorry, in the top 8 because they only took the top 8.
Yeah.
And what we did was we left right when it was time so that the 3 of us would get disqualified, leaving less people that were actually able to try to go against Jason Orlando. So basically we had 4 of the top 8 slots.
Exactly.
3 of us left. Jason only had to beat four competitors. It didn't work. He lost anyway.
I don't know.
Lost. He still lost.
I just go back to what Robin said about playing under pressure, and it's not a character defect. It's perfectly natural, and I think we've all been there. So I don't like, I don't know the guy. I'm just trying to like take it from his perspective.
Absolutely. No, listen, everybody made fun of him. I mean, you have to understand that back then we were very competitive and mean to each other.
So, and I think it was extra
you guys,
because he had made the 90 NWC. So we figured it was a shoe-in, So
it was supposed to be you, Mike, and Jason were the shoo-ins because you were already finalists in 90. Right. I was 13 in 90, so for me it was like a whole new experience. 94 was when, okay, I'm tuned now. Now I know what the competition means. I'm going to go ahead and practice this. I mean, Dave, I don't know if you remember this, but I used to sit at the house running through Mario, and it was Jason Provost that would sit there with me, and we just do the Mario run over and over until we had it down to the microsecond. Jason Provost still probably holds the world record for doing that Mario Kart, that first circuit.
Yeah,
because he was insane at that. I mean, like the two of us were like neck and neck, but he was out ahead of me. And I mean, like, we just played constantly. So we knew that we were going to qualify.
Jumps down, the turn. I mean,
Absolutely.
almost like he was the computer playing, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It was great. So, you know, at that point, it was a little more refined. So we knew where we were going with that. But nothing against Jason, but, you know, we were just calling him the choke artist because no matter what happened, you know, we're talking, he probably went to 15, 16 cities, you know, like we really tried hard. It wasn't a matter of like trying to attack him for it, but that's what we did back then. We razzed each other.
Of course, we're going to rag on each other, you know?
Absolutely.
What?
Yeah. I mean, Jason's best chance was the weekend that IROC won. The two of them were up there in the top two going against each other. And what does Mike do? Mike puts in Super JJ as his name just to piss off Jason. You know, like this is who we were as people. We were terrible kids. You know what I mean? So he's like, why did you put in my name? And then he puts in Mike's name thinking that that's going to razz. You know, it was just what we did, you know? So no, it's not like trying to be mean about the fact that he didn't qualify, but we were really seriously trying to make sure that all of us got in. You know,
and it's good to know that he did make the finals in 90. So that he
Absolutely.
does have that under his belt.
Yeah,
So.
totally. Yeah.
He was one of the best. I mean, he's one of the best gamers I've ever met. He pushed me to levels that are, you know, well beyond what I would have ever been to. I mean, I can remember the first time I understood how much better of a gamer someone could be was when Jason Orlando showed me how good he was at Warcraft 2. Like that just blew me away and actually made me get extremely competitive in StarCraft to where I started touring around with the PGL. You know, like back then PGL was Professional Gamer League, you know, so it was like he pushed me to that next level because he was just that good. You know, like I don't think I would be anywhere near as good as I am at competitive video games. I don't think I would have any of the achievements under my belt, all of the tournaments won, all of the sponsorships that I've had through my life, if it wasn't for Jason Orlando. So I have nothing bad to say about him.
Yeah.
No, and
he was super smart too. Like
absolutely.
Like even outside of gaming.
Absolutely. I mean, I lived with him for 10 years, you know, so he was my roommate for I mean, first off, he moved in with me and my mother at the Doric, but that's not a surprise because everyone moved in with me and my mother at the Doric. So I guess there's that, right? But after that, we ended up living together in New Jersey for probably 8 years or so. And so, I mean, it's just, geez, there's something in the background, a bug on the wall or something. Anyway, I completely lost my train of thought. Can we?
Actually, I thought of something to say while you were saying that. What I thought was kind of cool about like the 2 years that I won was like it was two like specific points in my life where it wasn't necessarily the best time to be playing competitively.
Right.
Like in 90, I was just going into high school, so I had that pressure, and then to pull out that one was pretty, you know, cool. And then and that's when I'm, you know, just getting into my teenage years. And then you have the other end of it, 94, where I'm graduating high school and
I was about to ask you that. Yeah.
Yeah. And going into working and my father pressuring me, get a job, this and that. And then I had all that stuff weighing on my mind in the back of my mind. So to make the finals, both of those years, those two specific years, you know, it was pretty crazy. And
such good timing.
Yeah. Exactly.
You've got kids, so you see how a big difference 5 years is going to be. So it's one of those real perspective changers to be able to do the same thing on those two specific points in your life. So it's really intriguing.
Yeah, exactly. It kind of brought my father and I closer together too. You know.
Yeah. Your father was the one who shot the video at the 90, which we'll talk about that obviously when we get to it. But your father, if anybody ever goes online and happens to see a lot of video from the Powerfest, and specifically all of the Jersey boys, you know, in the video at once, it was his father that shot. I guess it's about an hour and a half of a video that's on YouTube from that.
Hour and a half, maybe two.
Yeah, I mean it's in terrible VHS quality.
Oh yeah,
you know, but
it was obsessed.
It is what it is.
I
it's
love
still
it.
fun to watch. In fact,
Great.
There's actually in the opening of our podcast.
Yeah.
Chris has very brilliantly edited in a scene of us running up to the Mario statue, which John Basson uppercuts, you know.
Yeah.
Because of course John does. That's
and you
does.
made the monkey calls or the baboon calls or whatever.
You remember that at
Yeah.
SeaWorld?
You
Oh
would-
my God.
And you did that at the entrance of the 94 Powerfest. They had this big party
Junk.
the night before
Oh,
the
yeah,
tournament.
yeah.
And remember, it was at the zoo, the San Diego Zoo. And
No, no, I know this story very well because I did it. I remember this.
yeah,
So it was the morning after we went to the zoo. So we went to the zoo. The zoo was terrible because all of the animals were inside. I actually told this story while we had the winner, Mike
there's
Irosi.
video of that too. I'm trying to locate it.
Oh God,
My
if you could
father
locate
shot
that.
video of that day too.
Yeah, that'd be unreal. So,
Yeah.
like the animals weren't out because it was freezing out in the middle of San Diego in November. So, and I remember the lady who was in front of us.
And Mike Iorossi made sure he let everybody know that
Oh yeah, he absolutely did.
he annoyed the crap out of the workers.
He did, yes. But the funny story that I tell is the fact that the woman in front of us said, "Where are all of the animals?" And Mike turns to her and says, "Well, the smart animals are inside where it's warm. The dumb ones are out here looking for them."
Yeah.
So that was the thing with the San Diego Zoo the night before. The next morning, we're all at SeaWorld. Now, when we get there, it's probably 5 o'clock in the morning because for whatever reason they wanted to set up that early, which is absolutely insane to think about in the first place, having a bunch of gamers out there at 5 a.m. We're all restless, we're all tired, and there's this giant DK blow up animal thing, right? And so Basson dares me, because I used to make, and I still do actually, a very loud, obnoxious gorilla / ape / monkey sound.
You have never heard anything like this, Chris.
It really is crazy. I'll show it to you sometime, Chris. I would break the speakers if I do it on the podcast, so I can't do that. But if anybody ever sees me in person, I will happily do it for them so that they can understand what I did here. Yeah. So I get behind this giant DK blow up balloon, and I do this screeching monkey that then sets off every single creature that was all through SeaWorld. Everything just starts screaming at the top of its lungs. All of these animals are agitated and scared to death. And I have set off this chain reaction at 5 o'clock in the morning that everyone wanted to kill me for, because they all started screaming for a good 15 to 20 minutes after this. Yeah. It was just a surreal thing that happened. And it was all John Basson's fault. So shout out to John Basson for actually causing that. I didn't know
he had you do that. I just remember you.
It was his idea. Well, it was always John's idea. John always had all of the crazy things, right? Yeah. That was our crazy guy there. So
that's true. Yeah, John was fun. I mean, John was so funny. Oh my
god. SeaWorld's gone, right?
No.
Or if they just got away from the animal shows and are now more conservation.
So they've always been really. So I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of people that'll hate me for saying this, but SeaWorld has always had a huge part in conservation efforts. And a lot of the conservationists that are out there that, work on the whole, they're just on conservation efforts in the oceans and everything else, they'll credit SeaWorld with starting out their fascination for creatures of the sea. That's always been their thing, has always been conservationism. But there's a dark side to it as well. When you think about the whale shows and them keeping them in tanks and so on and so forth, they have gone away from all of that, but they still exist. They still do their thing. They still have a huge aquarium here and in Orlando as well. And I don't know if there's any others, but yeah, they
used
still
to have one in Ohio way back in the day, but that's been back turned into a regular amusement park again. But sorry to derail that whole fun stuff. I went to the serious thing. I was just wondering about the SeaWorld animals, and it was one of those. It's how much has changed culturally in 25 years. So that's
it's always interesting, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah,
absolutely.
Off course. Now we're back on.
Hey, to be fair, we've been off course since I kind of derailed the conversation from where we're going to go right back to in just a minute here to talk about
the 90 finals.
That's exactly right. Yeah, so we're gonna underail, we're gonna re-rail, if you will, and talk about the 90 finals if you want to head back in that direction.
Oh yeah. So, when we went to the 90 finals, we had a couple of months. Before.
We being you and your dad, or who else went? Did you know anybody?
No, it was just me and my dad.
Okay.
And I remember we still had 3 months before the finals. And it was literally 3 months because I won on September 9th. And then you had October, November, and the finals were on December 9th. So it was literally 3 months before the thing. And we were super excited. We had never flown on a plane before.
Wow.
So that was an experience in itself. We never flew on a plane. I don't think I had been out of the area. I think the furthest I had been was on a road trip to Washington, D.C. So like this was
Right.
like totally like whoa, mind blowing thing, you know. And for my father
Now,
too. My
you
father,
you were under the impression it was Florida when you first won, and then they changed it to California. When did you learn that?
I know the story on that. I'm surprised nobody remembers this because I keep hearing it in every thing, but nobody seems to remember. The reason they switched it from it was going to be Universal Studios in Florida, and what happened was a couple of months before the finals, there was a fire on the set of Universal Studios in Florida. That was
wow.
and it actually affected the area, part of the area where they were going to hold the tournament. And that was the reason that they switched it to Universal Studios Hollywood. I'm surprised nobody remembers.
Took 10 episodes. We finally have the truth. Thank you, D'Lo.
See, this is why. This is why we
You
do
were
this.
nervous
We are
about being on this
preserving the
show.
history.
And I was so happy because as I watched each episode, I was like, oh, they said what I was going to say. Oh, they said nothing. And I remember right up to Rich Ambler, the most recent one, and he didn't know why. I was like, yes, I have my own thing I can bring up. I was like, yes, finally. But that was the whole thing. There was a fire on the set, and it was only like a month or two before. And because I remember I had already won, and we had our paperwork from the company saying, okay, you're flying to Orlando, you'll be going in this and blah blah. It was all set. And then the fire
What a
happened.
nightmare for that agency to deal with like travel arrangements for that many people. Ugh, okay.
Yeah, they had to do that. That happened easily within 2 months of the finals. They had to switch it completely.
Wow.
Yeah, because of fire. That was the reason that they switched it. And
Chris, we finally got the answer.
yep,
Woohoo!
yep, that was it.
Another piece of history preserved.
Yeah,
Confirmed.
yes, and that was the whole thing. And we like totally had to switch our thinking. Like, oh my God, we're gonna go to Florida. Oh my God, we're going to California now. Holy cow! You know. And then
Well, little Jimmy little Jimmy and the Wizard didn't say Florida. He said California.
California.
Right.
So you had to get that right.
When you grow up in New York or New Jersey, Florida's just a place down the road. You know what I mean? Like that's a place everybody goes to take their vacations. So when you hear, oh, we're going to win a trip to Florida, it's like, oh, awesome. When you hear you're going to win a trip to California, as a little kid, you're like, holy cow, that's like going to another country.
And they emphasized Hollywood. So it was like,
Right.
oh, celebrity status here. Holy God, this is crazy. You know, I mean, we were already excited to go, but when they announced, okay, we're changing it to Hollywood, whoa, this became like even crazier, you know? So, yeah.
So walk us through what it was like for you so you didn't know anybody there. You started meeting people. What was the way that went?
Oh, yeah. So we arrived and it was funny because we had a layover on the way there. So when we left from Newark and then Newark Airport, and we had our layover in Chicago. And funny quick story. It always makes me laugh every time I think of it. Now remember, it was my father and I first time flying ever. So Chicago, called the Windy City.
Yeah.
So we had our takeoff in Newark. This is our first landing ever. So we're coming into Chicago, and plane's going in. So we're like staring out the window. You know, we're nervous. Like, okay, is everything okay? And we think, okay, the plane landed, and we're like, yes, we made it. And it's on tape. And my father goes, what a smooth landing. One after that, camera that he's recording just shaking all over the place. We actually hit the ground then, and he thought we had landed already. It always makes me laugh when I think back to that moment. But anyway, so we get to the airport in Chicago, O'Hare, and we start to see other finalists because they're coming from their cities, and everybody, I guess, was connecting onto that same flight to go to LA. So that was cool. I can't remember the people that we met up with, but everybody was so awesome. Like everybody was nice, everybody was excited, and then we spent the whole time on the plane talking, and oh, you're from here, blah, 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 blah. And then we get into LA, and it was just like a total culture shock. Like it was like you grow up in New York area, now we're in the palm trees and sunny LA. Whoa, this is cool. And all the other people that are there for gaming, the same reason. It was just like it was the start of like this crazy fun weekend. And we went on this tram that that would take us to the hotel, and my father, he would have to like always, like he did in '94 with the videoing, he like had to be like the announcer with the camera, like acting like he worked there. It was like embarrassing for me. I'm 14. I'm like,
Back then, yeah.
could you just like zip it and like sit down? Like he acted more of a kid on that trip than I did, I think. And
That's good to hear.
yeah, he like had so much fun. He like loved it.
I mean, aren't you glad that he chronicled a lot of it now?
Now I am, and I'm still trying to find some tape of the finals that he took, aside from what was taped.
I'd freaking love to see that.
I know. I am trying. Believe me, I'm trying to like go through a lot of stuff and find that, because he taped everything.
The most beautiful thing in the world, just right there, right in front of your eyes.
Yeah, and at the time I'm thinking, oh, you're embarrassing me, but now I'm like, oh, I wish I had that right in front of me now to watch.
And now that you have your own kids, you kind of know the.
Yeah, exactly. How I know how he acted, because I act the same way, embarrassing my daughter.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
She says the same thing to me, so I kind of get where he was coming from. And so then we got to the hotel. I remember we were really tired. We made the whole trip across the country, and I remember that night we went out. They had some kind of dinner that first night, that not like a group dinner, but they offered like a coupon to take to the hotel.
Rich was talking about this. Yeah. the $20 coupon, and the waiter was a dick about it.
Yeah, but we decided to not go. So what my father said, you know what, why don't we go into the city and eat somewhere in the city? I was like, all right, yeah, I guess we could explore it. And I remember we walked down the hill, and suddenly everything turned from beautiful, glitzy, to like, it was like the harshest streets of Brooklyn. I felt like we were so nervous, we ran down the hill. We were like, something at the hotel. But it was like crazy. Like if you went right down the hill from the hotel, it was like no man's land.
Wow.
And,
yeah, now that I live out here, I can appreciate that story, because I know exactly where you went.
Oh my God, yeah. But I mean, still, beautiful area. It was just,
they didn't show that part in the David Lee Roth videos.
Yeah, right.
Right. Kind of left that out,
Yeah.
For what I was expecting, But so yeah, the first day there was quiet. It was cool though, the tram going to the hotel, everybody was joking around, laughing. And then Saturday was pretty much, this to this day, this drives me absolutely insane. Okay. Now, everybody going into the finals at some point had known about the thing with the Mario dying on purpose. Don't ask me why, but I literally found out about this trick on finals. I knew nothing about it until we got to the finals tournament.
Wow.
So, literally, that practice round that they gave us to do on Saturday, I had to learn that right then and there. I literally had no time. Like everybody was practicing that.
Yeah.
What was so rewind just a little bit. What was your practice regimen between September and December? What were you doing?
Oh, okay. So I was basically playing, I concentrated heavily on Tetris, because I knew
Right.
that would multiplying that by 25. So I was like, that's going to be the big thing.
Dorian, are you pushing his ass? How's this relationship going between you guys during this time?
So here's one of the things that, because I do remember things a little bit differently. I mean, I totally get it. Maybe my memory is off on when we started. Like, I mean, because if you say that you didn't remember that until the finals,
Yeah.
I have no idea, because I could have sworn that we used to sit there and try to figure out the best path through Mario, and I thought that we found that before you left. So if that's the wrong memory,
I honestly don't remember that, because I remember being in the room, and it was one of the finalists, and they talked about it, and I was like, holy crap, are you serious? There's like a dying trick? Like, and they showed it to me, because some people brought their gaming system with them to the hotel, and they were playing in the room and practicing still.
yeah.
And we didn't do that. So, and they showed me the thing, what to do. I was like, holy crap. I was like,
That's so funny.
Extra minute in Tetris? It like blew my mind,
And was Mike wasn't part of your crew yet, right?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we won in the same city in New Jersey.
Yeah, so the two of you had started hanging out by the time. In fact, didn't you guys end up on the same plane or something?
Yeah, we ended up on the same plane, but we didn't really talk yet. Like we weren't like friendly yet. You know, it was like, oh, cool,
Right.
Because Mike knew the trick. In fact, that's what tripped up his run in the finals was he screwed up and had to go to 1-2, and it killed his game.
Exactly. And after when we both won in New Jersey, we weren't like super friendly yet. You know, like we didn't talk yet or whatever. And I think it was on the plane actually, and my father and him struck up a conversation, and he and him became friendly. And then I was like the shy guy, and I was like, oh, cool, all right, yeah. And then that's when Mike and I, became super friendly in the finals, and he knew about the thing, and everybody knew about it. I had no clue. I was like, wow.
That's funny.
Yeah, it totally blew. I was like, wow. Will I complain and say, oh, I was at a disadvantage? I don't think so, because, I wasn't even doing the thing where people were building up in Tetris, to get the piece sets faster. I didn't realize that either. I was doing the build up.
You're playing classic Tetris. You're keeping it kind of low.
All the way through.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't think that even doing the Mario trick would have done anything for me, because I wasn't building high in Tetris. I was 4 high, long bar comes, hit the Tetris. So it was limiting me anyway in score. That's why my scores never were like above 1.5. I think 1.5 was probably the highest I ever got.
Well, and you were also in the hardest age group.
Yeah, 12,
I mean, yeah, you're in 12 to 17.
Yeah,
they're all killers. I mean, let's face it.
Yeah,
exactly. you have Thor getting 3 million pluses. I mean, that's double your best game. So it's for me, it's more about the experience of being there and everything else that you got.
Oh yeah, totally. And so we had they gave us a practice session on Saturday. We had this lunch, and it was funny. They had all these Universal Studios characters, Beetlejuice, a guy dressed up like him, and like all these people walking around, and I think they gave us burgers and fries, and everybody just hanging out, being friendly, whatever. It was cool. It was fun. And then I remember the practice session. I was like, I wish we could do the practice all day. Like it's cool to have the lunch and everything and hang out with everybody. But I was like, I wish they gave us more time to practice.
Right.
Because like I didn't bring the system with me. So for me, that was literally all I got to play before Sunday. And then something interesting that Rich brought up on the last show that I don't recall. He said that before everybody went on stage, not on stage, but that they had the screens, the 30 screens set up around the stage,
right,
to determine who was going to get top 7. And he said that before everybody went on to their screens, that they had a backstage of game screens set up for everybody to practice one round before. I don't remember that. Now, I don't know, maybe my memory just left me, but I do.
That was because before you guys went on, the 12 or the 18 and overs had their technical glitch, where Bob Whiteman was taking his backup run.
Yep.
Okay.
So you guys had to wait for them before you could take the stage. So maybe the 11 and unders got a practice run, but those backstages were being used for the makeup runs for the adults.
So if you remember from the Bob Whiteman episode,
yes,
he was saying that while he was playing,
that was
one of the workers tripped on the cable, unplugging all of the setups.
Which
straight out of a goddamn movie.
I never knew it even happened.
Right.
Had a secret from us. I didn't know. I would have been panicked. I would have been like, "Oh my god, are they going to do that when we play?" Oh
my god, that would have been horrible. Yeah. So I think that what it comes down to is that's the reason why we do these podcasts, is to get those stories out there. So now you just learned, from Rob Whiteman why that existed, and then you heard from, just Rich, overall, you can hear from Rich, you from Mike.
That's why I love what you guys are doing, because when I watch these, it's like, oh, that's why that happened. Oh, that's why they said that and did that. Like, I don't like when they made the announcement that we were going to get the video game, the game card from the tournament.
Right.
I remember everybody being like, "Oh, I wish we could get it," but I never knew who started. That I didn't know it was the parents. I had
Yeah.
no clue, so that was cool to hear. That was really. I was like,
Yeah.
wow. So I would have thought it was the kids.
Those overzealous
It
parents,
really
man.
is.
I
It's
thought,
it's you. I mean, I'm you and I both know that now, but
yeah,
and like I said before, in 15, a room full of adults all just kind of keep it to themselves. I can imagine if I were 14 and my mom was there, she'd be bitching up a storm that we weren't getting actual prizes for showing up.
yeah.
So it's
Exactly. Whoever the parents were, if you're
yeah.
watching this,
Thank you. Yeah. No kidding.
that is so cool.
I actually, and I've said this before, and I know that Chris has said this as well. That cartridge and the value of the cartridge is what really reignited this retro gaming scene.
Yes, it's totally true because who knows if that game was never given to us, they never put out, at least I don't remember a tournament in 91. They did the campus challenge in
The
91.
campus challenge.
Right.
Yeah, but like as far as like how big that production
Right.
was, 90. Who knows if
Correct.
they would have ever done the gaming again? Like it might have gotten forgotten.
That's why Blockbuster isn't well known. That's why the Crash Bandicoot isn't well known, or the Atari ones aren't that well known. The cartridge really is the centerpiece of this. Why
Yes.
NWC is kind of the king of these old school tournaments.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's really
And usually the focal point for a lot of like when people kind of talk about the early esports competitions, this is to me, and maybe this is different to other people that were in other worlds, but this is what I considered the pinnacle of competitive gaming back then. 1990, those are the most famous original old school esports. Because I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to take anything away from any of the other champions, especially the ones that we've interviewed here on the show. Thanks Rebecca and so on and so forth.
Right.
What it really comes down to is those tournaments aren't well known. I'll be honest, I'd never even heard of that, so I was really excited to do that episode with Rebecca because that was the first tournament that I think anybody knows of, period. So it was interesting learning about that. But when it comes to what I see as like the most known tournaments, Nintendo did a great job of making people notice it. And I really do think that it's the cartridge that brought it back.
Right. And like Robin said, in Ecstasy of Order, 1 million kids. I mean, we don't know the exact number, but that's a hell of a mythological number. 1 million kids went to Powerfest and played that damn cartridge.
Yeah.
So you are 1,000% top player getting to Hollywood. Over 1 million kids. That's just amazing. And
he said that. I never looked at it that way. It was like, wow.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30 out of 1 million. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you take all 30 cities, I mean, yeah.
So do you have any other stories from 90 in the finals, or should we transition over to 94?
Oh, yes. Actually, the day of the finals. So I remember when I went to my screen and I was ready. I got in that mindset again. It was like, let's do this, no nerves at all. It's like, all right, got a job to do. Let's do it. And I had a great Mario. I had a great Red Racer. I didn't crash. Got to Tetris fast. The dying trick worked. There was no disaster with that. And I remember I was into Tetris, and I always remember it. There was maybe like a minute to go or so, and I remember Terry was coming down the thing, like, announcing, going crazy, calling
hyperactive. Yep.
And he came to my screen. He said, "David Lopez from New Jersey, 61,000." And it was like that was the first time in any of the tournament I heard somebody, and it kind of like messed me up a little.
Oh,
yeah.
And I remember I made like a minor misdrop. It wasn't deadly, but it was like, it threw me off. And I remember we get to the 10-second countdown, and I literally have the Tetris well built up. And when they start the 10, you start just slamming the pieces down. You're like, where's the long bar? I got to make that last Tetris. And I'm slamming the pieces down. 5, 4. I'm like, where is it? The long bar comes. It's in the next window. 3. I rip it over. I'm pressing down. 1. It hits, and the screen goes blank. It goes.
Oh, no.
So it didn't count?
I never got that last Tetris, and I'll never know now. Like, would that score have maybe got me to
the next round?
7th place,
Right.
ever, because they didn't announce anyone else's scores. So only the top 7. So I tried to gauge my score from the guy in the 7th. I was like, damn, that might have been actually close. But then I was like, well, they didn't sell everybody else's score, so was somebody higher than me? But to this day, that always burns me.
I'm sure.
I wish they had put out everybody's score, what they scored in that top 30 round.
Yeah.
Or if there was a way to get everybody who you guys interview, to find out what their score, I would love to know.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
Would I have actually made it on the stage? I don't think I would have still, but man, if that Tetris had hit and counted,
that is one of the cool things about the 94 championships. Somebody did record all of those scores, and we can see what everyone got from every round.
Really?
That and the Rock the Rock, the MTV actually recorded all of the scores. They didn't show hardly any gameplay, but everybody's scores were shown during that television
Sega World Championships.
Where can I find? Because I want to find out.
I will get you the link after the show. But yeah, it will show you every score from 94. It's really cool. There are some exceptions, like for example, like with my score, my original score was actually higher, but I had a screen glitch. I don't know if you remember that.
I do.
Screen roll. Yeah, so I had a screen roll during Mario.
I remember you being screen and looking up at us and going.
Right. Yeah. So that screen roll did make me die in Mario because unfortunately you can't see when when a screen decides to do that rolling thing, and so they did give me a redo in the back, and my score was actually lower the second time, but that is the score that they kept. Right. So I mean, because it's actually I don't care either way because I was in 17th place with the score that I had, and they only took the top 16 anyway. So I would have been the first loser, but luckily nobody can say that because now I'm in 30 something instead. So I'll take that.
Out of 120 though, the dude, that's still
I'll take it, right? Yeah. So the redo was on a 10-inch tiny monitor, so it was even harder to play on.
That's not right. I feel it should be the exact same thing you're playing on.
But at the same time, at least they were nice enough to give me the redo. They didn't even have to do that, and they actually offered it to me as opposed to me crying about it. It was just hey, you want to come into the back and redo that? You can. And I was like, yeah, hell yeah. And then I get back there and there's this little tiny screen. I'm like, do you know how hard it's going to be to hit home runs on this? Are you kidding me?
Right.
So it was what it was. So history wasn't on my side that day. That's all.
Just quick reference, Dorion. How'd you do in 90? Did you
in 90? I didn't even go into the qualifying round. So I had gotten the little placard to come back on, I think it was Sunday or whatever.
Okay.
And this part of the story is kind of disputed. I don't remember what happened, but I think, whatever. I'm just going to say it. Okay. So at that time, my father couldn't travel for reasons I won't get into here today.
Right.
And my mother had just had my little sister, so she wasn't going to be able to travel. So since I knew that there was no way I could have gone into the finals, I didn't even bother competing on the big stage. So I qualified for the big stage and didn't go into it. Dave, I don't know. I think I've told you the story about my father, so you probably already know why he couldn't travel. And so there was no possibility of me going anywhere. By the time I was 17, that had cleared up and I was able to kind of do it that time. So,
yeah.
Sorry about that. I knew you had a thing, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have loved to compete in 90. I mean, honestly, it was the better tournament. It was the more fun tournament. I loved Tetris. I was a huge Tetris fan. I definitely would have liked to be there, but that wasn't in the first one.
And obviously, you definitely could have gone to other cities, so it would have just been a matter of time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Easily, so.
Yeah, definitely.
My apologies.
That would have been cool.
No. Look, it's history.
That would
and we get to talk to D'Lo instead, so it's all okay.
Yeah,
exactly.
But it would have been fun if it was both of us there together.
Oh my God, that would have been unreal. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look back, can you imagine 6 of our friends from the same neighborhood all qualified for the 94 Powerfest and Nintendo World Championships? That's crazy.
I still think that's cool. That's really impressive. You're talking tons of people went to this thing to play in it. To get the same group of friends that all made it.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it really speaks volumes about. So I mean. I talked about how Jason Orlando pushed me to that next level. I met Jason in 94 at the Powerfest, the very first event. But he was introduced to me by Mike Iorosi. Mike Iorosi was introduced to me by Dave Lopez. Once Dave introduced me to Mike, that changed everything because Mike really pushed me to that next level.
Yeah.
Like the first thing that we did was start competing in Super Mario World. You know, we're doing speed runs back before speed running was a thing, racing against each other, spending 2 hours on the phone going for a perfect run, you know, like with full 100 whatever stars or whatever. Then it was F-Zero. We're going to compete for times. So, I mean, like that really pushed that whole competitive spirit to a whole new thing. And then from there, it just bled over into other friends. So like meeting Jason Provost, who owned the store next to my high school, you know, like suddenly him and I are competing and doing stupid things like who can beat Dragon Warrior 3 faster. You know, like we're just like, you want to talk about the most random competitive crap. Oh, okay. Let's start playing pinball competitively. Oh, what do you know? Now I'm in the Professional Amateur Pinball Association. And, you know, to this day, I'm still pissed that Jay and I didn't team up because our scores combined would have easily won that tournament. But still, that's a whole nother story. Anyway, though, so yeah, everything that we did was just like
that blows my mind to this day. That we were talking about it on Messenger. That blows my mind to this day. That had I not won that New Jersey stop, I would have never met Mike, obviously.
Right.
And then do these friendships even ever happen? You know, Pomona never happens.
Right.
You know, it's just crazy how that one event in life started this whole chain reaction of friends that built these lifelong friendships. It's crazy.
Yeah. Thank you for winning.
Yeah, like really.
Thank you for being the best that day.
It's just cool, you know.
One last 1990 question before we go full 94. What did you end up keeping keepsake wise? Do you still have the cartridge? Did you?
Yeah.
Or the tombstone? The trophies? What do you still have?
I basically have everything.
Okay, awesome. That's great to know.
All right, so I have the game cartridge, obviously, the trophy that we got, that tombstone looking thing.
Right, that's what Chris Tang calls it. So I'll just go with his terminology.
I even have, you know, those white placards that they put on the screens around the stage? I even have that with my name on it.
Nice.
Yeah, I even have that thing. I kept
So when you go to Portland in the fall, you're gonna be a total D-bag and like put that over every screen you play on.
That would be so
You should. Actually, that's freaking epic. You're going to do that. That's fantastic.
my God, that would be so funny. If I'm next to Vince.
You got all that grief when we were on stream in Pomona. Like that'd be taken to the next level.
And especially if you're on stream next to Vince. Like how crazy.
Vince, I'm gonna put that over.
Oh my God.
It'll spread across both TVs. Point it up at him. That's what I'll do. Oh my
Boy,
God.
that reeks of vinegar and water. Woo!
Right?
Yeah.
Shout outs to Vince.
Oh, that's so funny.
It's fantastic.
But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so I kept that. I even have we have photocopy of the receipt from the Reebok sneakers that I won.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I kept a photocopy of the check, the $250 check they wrote us. I have a photocopy of that. Like I said,
is that from the city win, I take it?
Yeah, from the city win.
Right.
Every little thing that I could have, I pretty much kept. I was upset that I never had a jacket or a shirt. I never kept that. Or the hat. You know,
did you keep your 94 jacket?
I lost it.
Oh no.
I'm so upset because I love that jacket. It was good quality.
It was great. Great. I still have mine. I know.
I remember wearing that thing when it was cold in San Diego.
Yeah.
That thing kept us warm.
Hell yeah, it did. It was great.
Jacket, and I lost. I'm so mad. But yeah, so.
Happens.
But yeah, that was pretty much all the stuff from '90.
Well, I'm glad that, I mean, the temptation had to have been there to sell the cartridge at some point. So good on you for not having to do it, or good. That's really awesome.
I kept thinking about it with hearing the prices go up, but then the one thing that made me say no was when I had my daughter. I was like, you know what? It would be kind of cool to leave it to her, you know.
Nice,
and let her have something to, if she wants to sell it, let her be the one to, sell it. But at least she could be like, oh wow, my dad did this. This is cool, So honestly, I don't think, unless the thing went for like $100,000, I don't even think I would sell that thing for like 40.
It'll get there.
I really don't think I would sell it for even 40 or 50. Honestly, If someone came to me and said, "Here's $50,000," I don't think I would take it. I'm
Yeah.
being completely honest.
Hey, listen.
It's like
I-
rare thing.
It has to. So this is the rule that I have because, as you know, one of the carts that I have is a one of a kind. My best offer on that has been 150K. No, I'm sorry, 125K. I've already said that in order for me to sell that cartridge,
Yeah.
it has to change my life. Like
Right.
it has to be enough money
That's a
that.
good way to put it. That's a good way to put it.
So basically, if somebody were going to offer me $1 million for it, and by the way, if you're listening out there, please offer me $1 million for it. Here you go, have it. So like I would take that money, I'd reinvest it. I mean, obviously,
Would where it ends up also influence that decision? Like if it was in a museum or versus a private collection or that sort of thing?
That might influence it. I mean, like let's say it was like in some special collector area, and they were like, "Oh, this cart belonged to Dave Lopez." Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. That might influence me a little bit. Like to.
So like what if it was for a museum thing where like they take a bunch of the different things that you have, like your tombstone and all of this, and kind of chronicled you as a finalist? Would that be interesting to you?
I would totally do that.
All right. So anybody out there who happens to have a museum.
Yeah, like a legitimate like place. Like it can't be like somebody else's man cave. This is my museum.
That's what happened.
What's
to
wrong with
Robin.
my museum? You don't like my museum?
It is beautiful. It is beautiful, but I mean like a real like place that people visit and like a public place, and it would be cool. I would totally do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what happened to Robin. His collection's in Australia, but some guy bought it all from him, and now it's half a world away.
Wow. Yeah,
so kind of crazy.
Yeah.
So I guess now's the time you kind of went over sort of your summer of 94 Woodstock.
Yeah. Yeah, right.
Grateful Dead tour of Walmart's, Sears, Radio Shacks, whatever others retail outlets you guys hit across the country.
PC Richards, right?
PC Richards.
That was my introduction to Walmart. I had never been in a Walmart before that.
Me too. I tried to tell people that. They're like, really? I'm like, yeah, I didn't even know it was a thing until the Nintendo World Championships.
Yeah, I never heard of Walmart before that. So
it's ironic that you in Cincinnati. Was it at Walmart?
Yes, it was. It was at a Walmart in Cincinnati.
Because they were just starting to open in the mid '90s, and they were heading north from they started in Arkansas and spread out. They were just hitting Cincinnati around that time, so that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, so they were probably a good place for Nintendo to go to, because I'm sure that at that time Walmart was trying to establish themselves. And so, here's a video game company wanting to actually do an event at a Walmart. Sure, yeah, let's do that. I mean, obviously the scale of the 94 stops were nowhere near what but we did get some pretty big lines. I think that if I kind of look at the strategy there, it was let's spend less money on the overall tournament and just use the publicity to try to, make something happen. Yeah. At that time, Nintendo had just bought part of the Mariners, right? And so they put out Ken Griffey Jr. And they're trying to get a return on their investment there as well. So I think that it was an ability to kind of promote everything that they're doing.
Yeah.
What was this inside the store, or was this in like a truck outside the store?
Some of them had trucks, from what I saw on other videos in other cities. Any one that I went to, it was inside the store. The PC Richard and Wayne was in the store. The one that I wanted was in the Sears. And then I remember the mall one.
How many did you go to?
I think it was 4.
4. Okay. And you won on your second one?
Second one.
Yeah.
Second one.
Yeah. So same as me.
Yeah.
Won on your second one.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm lying. I won on my third one because Mike lost the first one somehow, and then Mike won the second one. So I won on my third one. You beat me by 1, you bastard.
Yes.
Damn it.
Childhood rival.
See, still competitive to this day.
Oh yeah.
Right. We're still calling each other bastards.
So were you at this point, now that you're graduated high school, you've already been to the finals, and what was a bigger event at the time? This is more of a minor league sort of deal. Yeah. I'm sure in your eye. Was the tunnel vision still there? Were the nerves still there? Did it kind of just feel like, oh, okay, like if you were numb to it, maybe you would have performed better because you just treated it like you were just competing in your old building against Dorion again? What were the feelings like versus the 90?
Well, I still looked at that as a major tournament.
Right.
That was still a big production that they put on. Was it the same scale as 90? Not right there, but it was close. 90,
Okay.
I would say 94 was the next biggest one because the Campus Challenge, I don't remember it being publicized too much.
Well, and they only let students play in it.
Right. And I don't remember any of the other tournaments that happened.
Star Fox wasn't big.
Yeah, 90
was
a big deal. But what made it more like fun versus competitive was because we all went together, and competed in these things. So it was almost more like a hangout, like we were at home playing, but yet we're still competing. Like it's weird to explain.
What are the car trips like? What are you guys talking about on the road? You listen to crappy radio stations?
Cities.
Being, young guys, we're talking about everything, when we're in the car driving. It was like anything goes,
I'm sure it was a lot about girls back then,
Yes, it was about that too. Stopping at Wendy's along the way, having some grub. It was just like a total hangout, a guy's hangout,
Yeah. So I can't remember if this is right or not. But
I wasn't there for the one when you guys slept in the car, and I wish I had.
God, that one was
crazy. I was
crazy.
there for that.
There's actually a couple where we slept in the car, but the one that I think you're talking about, me and Mike actually brought up that story on our podcast. Is that the one you're talking about?
I just brought it up.
With
I was
the MPs.
I was there for that.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. We all thought we were going to die. Military police banging on the window. You can't be here. It's like, holy crap, this is not a good thing.
Yeah. Only because I remember our Doric days. So it was like, I would love to live that again,
Yeah.
But yeah. But it was fun. It was just like a bunch of guys hanging out, cracking each other.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things, right? So obviously I can't remember who went to which one. I went to every week. Like I think I hit about 19 total.
Yeah, only were the most.
Yeah, and everybody else kind of went to as many as they could.
And
but
even
back then,
after you had won, you were still going to every single.
Right, yeah, because I won the third one, So after that, it was like I'm going just because I'm enjoying the trips, So, there were other people who went with us that weren't really trying to win, just wanted to go, like Base. Base had no, he didn't have any desire to actually win. He just wanted to go to hang out, and there was a few people that were kind of like that, right? Because these were huge hangout trips. But if I'm not mistaken, I think J-Suck, Jason Provo. So that was an accident that just came up. Real quick, that wasn't an attack on Jay, just so you know. We all had, so Dave was Davidiot. I was Dora Suck. Yeah, we all had names for each other.
Right.
Jay Suck and stuff like that. And
I liked Davidiot.
Davidiot was great. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I had Dorkian too, right? So there's there's a bunch of those dumb things. So but yeah, Jay Suck was Jason Provost. Jay Suck had his van, so he was used to driving around quite a bit. And so when he went, it was always kind of like a party in the van, so it was great. But for the most part, it was every weekend, it was a different group of people, and we were always just trying to do whatever we could to have the greatest time. There's a lot of McDonald's road trips, stuff like that. McDonald's, Wendy's, especially, because back then we were really kind of Wendy's fans.
Yeah.
So.
C-Bus, 50th anniversary Wendy's this fall, by the way.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. You want to go the first? It's now a Catholic diocese, but there's a historical marker. That's the lameness of Columbus.
Interesting.
But anyway.
So do you remember there being any competitors at the stop that you won? Like anybody that was, kind of really good or expected to win or anything like that?
No standouts really.
Nobody stand out.
Yeah, nobody really. Like I know on Mike's stop there was that one guy who was really insane, but fair. I mean, everybody was good. Don't get me wrong, but no standouts. Like, oh, they're going to be talking about this guy going into the finals or.
Got it. No, nobody from the 90 then.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I won. It wasn't like crazy as 90 was. It was. Yeah. It was more like I did my thing. I did good with the home runs, and I just fairly easily just got through and won that. Yeah. I didn't. Not that it wasn't harder, but whoever faced me, it wasn't. It was like I don't know if maybe I had a good weekend.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
It was just basic. It was it was good.
Yeah, Mike Mike's first weekend losing to Steve Towle was kind of like, what in the world just happened? But then the second weekend, beating Jason Orlando, Jason was really his only competition there, and of course me. But the third weekend where I won in Cincinnati, I had Nick Whitlock, who was a 90 finalist. So that was rough, So like, I was just wondering if maybe you had anybody that was,
Nobody. Yeah, nobody. Did he ever get into the 94?
He didn't. No.
Who's the third person who's been in both?
Three, and I know it's me, Mike, and who's the third? I forget.
I forget his name off the top of my head. I could find it again. I will.
I was just curious if
take that as a follow-up.
Knew the guy.
Yeah, what I did was I cross-referenced all of the finalists that were out there, and I was able to find that.
Yeah, that was interesting. You did that because I didn't even know that was a thing. Like when you had said, you realize you're one of only 3 people in the world that was at both things. I didn't even know that was a thing. Like when I found that out, I was like, oh, I thought I just made both things and whatever, So it was
right.
Yeah. It was definitely fun though. Both tournaments. That was a really fun time in life,
So moving ahead to the finals, what was that like? What do you remember most from the 94 finals?
I remember when we were set up on those screens, and then the turntable stage that slowly turned around. I remember feeling, although I had been in the 90 finals, I remember feeling more uncomfortable in the 94 one than versus the 90, because I just felt like in 90 we had our space. In 94, I felt like I was like really
cramped,
and it made me uncomfortable. And I swear it had something to do with the home runs that I was hitting, because I just, I wasn't in my flow. I didn't feel like, all right, let's do this comfortable. It was more like tense. And I remember because we were so close to each other, those screens were super close. So it threw you off, because as you're trying to focus on, all right, the baseball's coming in, I got to swing right now. That other person's ball is coming in, he's hitting it. And the other one, his ball's already flying out. So you have screens moving super close to yours. So it was really distracting. I feel like maybe they could have spaced it out a little more, but that really stuck out in my mind in 94 versus 90, the setup of the displays,
Yeah.
We stood also in 90 at our screen. I wasn't able to kneel down like I did in the City Stop. Once they got on stage, they were able to do that, but at the
got it. So for the first qualifier round.
For the first qualifier, we had a stand. So that was also something I wasn't used to. So, but that was the same in 94. I just wasn't comfortable standing for some reason. That's just a me thing, but my thing was always crouching down, getting close to that screen, So, yeah. That was probably the one thing that stands out the most to me, was the setup and not feeling too comfortable, And I did horrible. I did horrible in that.
You finished 93rd with 14,772,800.
Yeah, I don't even think I cracked 16 home runs. I know,
not with 14 mil.
That would have been 14 home runs.
Yeah, because
the going rate.
Yeah, that was when they had switched to the 1 million per home run, so you could easily calculate.
You know what happened? I think what psyched me out, my first home run when I got in from Mario and I got in, my first home run was the farthest one, 575 feet. And something in me was like, holy crap, you're going to do great. You're going to have this. And it got in my head and psyched me out. It threw my timing off the rest of the way. Like I almost switched. The first one was a basic home run. That first one flying out and going all the way and you're waiting for it to register, it like totally threw me off, I think.
Got it.
Just did so crappy.
Yeah.
But it was still
I was gonna say it's still fun. Plus, your buddies are in the next round, so you get to be their biggest goddamn cheerleaders, right?
That's what was so cool, because it wasn't like, all right, I did crappy, I'm done now. No, now Dorion's coming on. After Dorion, Jason's going on. All right, John's going on after him. Rick's going on. Oh, Mike's going on. It was like this party, So
it was.
That was another thing, that it didn't really feel like a competition per se, for me anyway, because it was like I'm hanging out with my friends and we got every trip. It was like, how much better does life get right now?
Right. And then on top of that, you also have to consider that we're there. So we had a rivalry internally, sure, but it was more about us against the world. Like the six of us,
Oh yeah.
that was really where it was at.
Right. We might have always like had our competition of rivalries, but at the end of the day, if there was an outsider that was coming into our circle, watch out because we are going to destroy you.
Yeah, I mean that team match really kind of shows like the Tornadoes had, and just so those who might not know this, there were four regions: northeast, southeast, southwest, northwest, etc., whatever it was, and each team had a different team name. So it was like hurricanes, cyclones, tornadoes, and one other typhoons, right? Typhoons. And we had the least number of players, but blew away the other teams with the combined total score that they did, where they did like a big competition with all of the teams and everything.
Yeah.
And we were always like, the Jersey boys were going to rule the world. Like that was it. Like anybody who was going to go up against us was pretty much going to be blown away. So when Mike and Jason Provost made it to the next round, it wasn't like we were looking at it as, oh man, we lost. It was, we won. Like that's it. Made it to the next round. It was us.
And it's on my father's video that he shot. He was shooting all of us as we were playing, and Mike had just finished his round, and he knew he was going to make it into the next one. And my father called him, "Hey, Mike, what do you think?" Like to get him on camera. Like my father's this interviewer, and Mike turned around to him and just calmly said, "I'm going to win this thing." And he actually won it. Like that is probably like that's like I like if you could put it like in sports history somehow, gaming, that's like the equivalent of when Babe Ruth
calling a shot
just pointed that,
which is a myth, which is disputed. So this was real.
Right. This was real. It's documented, of Mike actually saying, "I'm going to win this thing calmly," and he goes and wins it.
Yeah. I mean, and at the same time, I mean, Mike went in with a vengeance, right? He went in because he was like, I was supposed to win 90, and I'm pissed off. I'm going to win 94. I remember week 2, like I said, when James Sorge beat Mike, that was a shock to everybody, including the guy that was running the tournament. And the very next weekend, we get to the next location, and it was the same guy running it and training somebody else. And he comes to me and Mike, and he turns to the guy that he's training. He's like, "This is Mike. He's going to be your winner for the weekend." And so Mike won that weekend. So like that's seriously like Mike really had that. He was the most consistent. We knew he was the best. And, when he made it to the next round, which he barely squeezed into, I think he was like, wasn't he one of the last? Can you check the score for round 1?
Michael was 11th.
11th. Okay. So he made it in fairly well, but still, that's still in the bottom
16,
half.
You said?
Yeah. Top 16. So it's still in the bottom half.
Wow.
So like we were getting a little concerned, but I think Jay Suck was 10th, right? Jason Provost?
7th.
Or 7th. Yeah, 7th. That's right. Yeah. So, you have the two of them in there, and then Mike barely made I think he was again second half of that. So the whole time we're just on the edge of our seat going, we have to win this. We're the Jersey boys. We got to freaking win this.
Oh yeah.
Nobody else is anywhere on our level. So, it didn't make sense for us to go home. So it was really a thing where, okay, yeah, we didn't make it through the first round. David and I both got, we're out by then, but we were still rooting for Mike and Jason, so like, it was like, we knew that we had this.
Yeah. The odds were in our favor, to have 2 of us in there. It was like,
oh yeah. 2 out of 16.
You guys are all sitting together at the finals, right? At the final 2.
Not side by side, but like pockets, like right in the same.
Oh, okay.
Like I'm 2 seats away, and he might have been 1 row in front. But we were all like within shouting distance.
Because Dorion talks about like jumping on stage. What did you do the moment that Mike won?
Oh my God. I didn't jump like Dorion did. I jumped up. I was like, oh my God, holy. I was like, why didn't I was going crazy in my seat. Dorion rushed the stage. I don't know how they didn't jump him.
I don't know how I did it either. I mean, like at the end of the day, it was as if security wasn't there because I went so fast, but I jumped over 2 rows of people, ran to the stage, jumped onto the stage. And it was like, I'm here with Mike. Nobody's taking me off this freaking stage.
It was almost like I watched that in slow motion when you did that. and that music playing. Dun, dun,
Yeah, right.
dun, dun,
I'll tell you what, I don't know how I didn't break my legs jumping that far and over people. Like, I don't know what the hell I was thinking at that moment. I wasn't thinking at that moment. I was just stupidly excited that my
All
best friend
adrenaline.
I remember
all adrenaline.
being crazy too, because he and Mike became really friendly over the years. So he was hyped for him too. I think he probably would have followed you,
Right.
and jumped up there with you. He was
Absolutely.
We were all psyched.
Was there anybody in the crowd, like just outsiders, or was it all basically the competitors and their plus ones?
From what I remember, I think it was I think there was the competitors in like the semicircle with the plus ones, but then wasn't there a separate crowd further in the back? I don't remember how far back that place went. I don't know.
So I remember there being some kind of, oh boy, no, I'm not going to speculate because I don't remember, but there were definitely other people there.
Yeah, I can't remember specifically because it was like you didn't have time to like look around and
No,
because like you were done, but then your next friend was going up, and so you were like always focused on the games.
oh yeah, I get it.
I remember it being super loud. I think maybe there were.
Play it loud.
Yeah, I think
Somehow they managed to spread the Jersey boys out into every round. Like, I don't think that there was a round where we had two people in the same round.
Yeah, that was cool how they did that. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't like there were even two of us that went at the
No,
same.
I know. It was so weird.
One every round.
Yep.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I to this day I wonder if that was done on purpose, because I mean everybody knew us. We were the loudest people there. We were the most obnoxious morons from New Jersey. Friggin'. And back then, of course, we all had street slang accents, and which I have since very much gotten rid of. Like, you can tell, I can speak like a normal human being now. But yeah, we were trouble.
I don't hear it, but do I still have the Jersey accent?
You got a little bit of it. It's nowhere near what
It's charming. I don't like. I'm all about you should embrace it, but everybody's got to do their thing. So
Yeah, some people are like, it's almost like, oh, do I really sound like that?
Yeah, Chris, you say that, but you have to understand that the accent that we had was truly. I mean, we grew up in the streets. It's not like it was a really bad accent. When I got my first real job at Lucent Technologies. I was in procurement, and I said, how do I get out of here? And he said, I can't promote you with the accent that you have. And I went home and sat there and learned how. I mean, it was
that's
bad.
awful.
It was really bad.
I mean, I will admit, the first time I heard a real person speak with like a heavy New York accent was at Classic Gaming Expo like 2010, and the guy who runs digital press comes up for the auction, and it's just hardcore Bronx accents. Like, oh wow. So it does take you back a bit, but I'm old, and I think people should appreciate where they're from and not give up and talk like losers from Ohio. But
yeah, let me give you an example. Back then,
sorry to go way off rails.
No, this is fine. This is what we do. We always go off. This is why it's a long form 2-hour podcast, right?
Yeah.
So this is the type of thing that it used to be. Every sentence started and ended with yo. So it would be like, hey, yo, what's up, yo, what you doing? Yo, let's go down the street. Yo, what you doing right now? Yo, let's go, son. That's the accent that we had. Like, that's not joking around. That is how we spoke back then. Yeah. That's not anything that you could ever get promoted with. That's not anything that you could ever talk to a customer with. We had a really bad street slang because that's where the freak we grew up. Like, that's the life that we lived. Our friends were in gangs. Like, this is just... I still don't know to this day how I managed to get along with the different gangs that hated each other. It was just, and joining Takal, what was I doing then? Oh, you're going to jump me into a gang? All right, let's fight. This is the life that we lived in. Yeah. It's really surreal.
I remember having a knife held to my throat.
Oh, do you remember the dude that freaking
knew? It was a guy I knew that held a knife to my throat and was walking home.
At the park, there was Boongie who swung a machete at my face. I mean, it was the guy during the Mortal Kombat 2 thing where Coley punched him in the face while he was holding a gun to the side of my head because I did a friendship to him with Johnny Cage and at the arcade. I mean, it's a crazy freaking world that we came from, and I'm just glad that I'm out of it.
Yeah.
Shout outs to Coley if he ever watches this. Thank you for freaking basically saving my life. And just a quick side on that one, it's I was basically playing Mortal Kombat 2, and you could switch characters between, and I was just doing basically all of the fatalities to this guy, and he was like, you do one more fatality right?
Oh, I
And
do remember that.
remember this? Yeah, this was stupid. So me being the dick that I was back then, I'm
Yeah.
like, all right, I won't do a fatality. So I was like, I picked Johnny Cage, and after I beat him, I did his friendship, and he goes, friendship, and he pulls out a gun and puts it to the side of my head and goes, oh, you think you funny, right? And then Coley goes flying over the counter. Just so it was absolutely crazy world. So that's the thing. Like when we talk about how we overcame this adversity to be competitive gamers,
Yeah.
this is what saved our lives. If I wasn't gaming, I don't even think I'd be alive today. I was a white boy in a city where, there's not really a thing. I had to pretend I was Cuban half of the time. I don't know if you remember that, but
Yeah. All these crazy things. It's so nuts. How we grew up. It's just insane.
we made it through. That's all that matters.
Yeah, we made it through. Thanks to gaming.
Thanks to gaming. Absolutely. I absolutely credit gaming for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So good.
Well, so anyway, so tell us a little bit about what you've been doing, unless you have any other stories about 94 you remember.
Oh no, that was pretty much it. I mean, it was a
So I know you disappeared out of my life. So after 94, and I don't know if it was 95 or whatever, I'm not going to go into why, but I do remember why you first disappeared. But then you were gone until, God, so I guess it was probably what? Was it 96 you disappeared?
90. No, it was 95. It was
95 you disappeared. Okay, so 95 you disappeared.
Yeah, right after. It was maybe months after Powerfest.
Right. And so I didn't see you again until probably in the late 2000, maybe, what was it, about 2012 we finally reconnected on Facebook?
Yeah, through Facebook. That was
So I'm assuming that part of your life, there was no gaming going on, so there's nothing really to talk about there, right?
nothing. I literally was not playing anything.
Okay, so you were out of the gaming scene entirely. What brought you back in?
So basically, I came across I would always watch YouTube at work, and stuff, and break time, throw on the YouTube, and I came across these Tetris video game videos, and people were playing competitively, and right away, like 1990 came back in my head. I was like, ooh, I was like, ding, in my head, like
you just reminded me.
Yeah.
You just reminded me. Back when you first came back onto YouTube, the first thing I did was try to get you to watch the videos from the Games Done Quick. What is that called? Awesome Games Done Quick. And I was trying to get you to watch the Grandmaster videos for Tetris to get you re-interested in Tetris.
Yeah. And then I was going to say, and then you also were always pushing me, like, you don't want to get back into gaming. You don't want to. And I was always watching your posts. Like you've always been into it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. And for like a couple of years, I would fight it off. Nah, it's just not for me. I'm too busy. I'm always too busy. And da. But something happened when I watched the Classic Tetris World Championship videos, and that one that YouTube put on the algorithm to promote more. The 2016 one with Jeff Moore versus Jonas.
Yeah.
I watched literally every single video into the night, every single one. And I was like, it was like that moment. I was like, I have to start playing again. At least Tetris. It was like this like desire came over me. I just have to start playing again. And I didn't take it seriously at first. I didn't even go out and buy the NES. Nothing. I was just watching the videos. And I remember crazily in my head saying, I don't have to really take this serious. I remember how to play Tetris from when I was young. I got this. I'll just go to the qualifier. I'm going to blow all these guys away. And that's why I say when I went to the Pittsburgh stop and these guys were starting on level 18, it literally blew my mind. Like I saw it in videos, but to see it in person and how fast those pieces were falling. Because remember, I didn't have an NES. I didn't have the Tetris cartridge. I'm just going off my memory. I was good at it. I'll be able to do this. When I actually sat down and hit level 18 and those pieces are coming down and you're not used to that, and I haven't played the game in 25 years, I was embarrassing myself.
Yeah.
And it was like I said, I had to learn this game all over again because it wasn't starting on level 0 how you did in NWC. This is a whole other animal where people are going for the highest scores trying to outlast each other. So for me,
and there was a little 13-year-old kid who made qualify in the top 8 at that Pittsburgh tournament too. So that's got
exactly.
That's got to hurt.
Yeah, exactly. My highest score, I'll never forget it, was 386,000. That was the highest score I got in the thing, and it didn't even get me into the top 6. And I was like, wow, this is an eye opener. Yeah. I went home and I was like, I'm humbled. You know,
was that right around the time where you started asking me for advice on televisions and Tetris versions and all of that? Exactly. So that was what made you get serious, actually seeing that play.
Being there and getting that feeling again inside of me, like, oh, I'm competing. Even though I didn't do good, and I did all that feeling of sitting there, and, you know, just, I can't get enough of it. I honestly can't. And like I said, I'm having the time of my life. I'm in these monthly tournaments. Shout out to Keith. His name on Twitch is Van Dweller.
Van Dweller.
Yeah.
CTM, and he puts out the monthly Tetris tournaments, and he goes through like so great lengths to put these tournaments on. I mean, he has like at least 50 to 60 people every month that he has to account for, and you know, get all these qualifier games done that determine the top 16, then the top 32, the top 48. And he organized all this stuff. And I'm telling you, ever since I've been a part of the community, like, it's amazing how welcoming everybody is in this community. So it's good to be back in that gaming scene and competitiveness, and also that it's not like this cutthroat thing where, oh, you suck and I'm gonna destroy you and you can't play better than me. It's not that way. Like, literally, you go on the Discords and everybody's like, oh man, you just broke 800,000. Way to go, man. That's great. And you know, their PB might only be 600, and they're like cheering you on it. It's just like this whole community of people
so awesome.
I've come across. It's
kind of the man versus the code versus, instead of man versus man. So
yeah,
you know, it's a different mindset. And I think a lot of credit needs to go to Jonas Neubauer, because if he wasn't such a gracious champion and such a great person in general, there's no way that the interest in this esport, it would have grown the way it has and been such a positive place. So
yeah, exactly. And that the way he is, and everybody that's like the higher level players, like, they're cool with you and they'll talk to you like you're just a regular guy. You know, they're not like this stuck up person. Oh, you know, too good for you. Like, I mean, I remember when we went to the Pomona thing. I mean, he talked to me, he checked out my controller. He was like, oh, the rubber feels pretty okay on this. You know, I suggest you do this. And he's like giving me actual tips, you know, what to do. Like, and
he's so awesome.
And like, everybody is so like nice. And it's just awesome to be back in this scene. And, you know, the way everybody is, I'm having a blast, you know.
That's awesome. Promote your stream again. Stand up for a second. Just promote your stream one more time. Yeah. Make sure you guys follow him.
It's twitch.tv/real_diculous. And it's supposed to be like, I'm ridiculous, but real diculous. You know, it was a play on words. It's nice. That's who I am. And that's what the name is about. You know, I'm a ridiculous person. So that's, and
I can say that since I've known you for your whole life, you've always been. So.
yeah. It's not something new. I've always been this way.
It beats Dorkian.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
I was an idiot, that's for sure.
What's your family think about it? Like, your wife and your daughter? Like, is it, oh God, Dad, or are they kind of like, oh, this is his thing, he's getting to shine again? What's their?
Well, I gotta say, shout out to both of them, Issa and Madison. I mean, they have been so supportive. Like, just today, for example, I was telling you, Chris, before we went on live, just today, I'm playing recently. I didn't realize my controller is broken. And I've been playing for the past couple of weeks with this thing, not realizing the thing is too loose. And when I press the button, sometimes the pieces spin extra. But anyway, I was complaining about it. I ordered new controllers. So I'm waiting for them to come in. It's supposed to take a couple of days. She comes home today and she has a controller with her.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
I bought this for you while I was out at work and on my way home, commuting in New York rush hour. And she finds the time to stop at a gaming store and actually buy me a controller just so I have one.
Unreal.
Yeah, just to hold me over until I get the actual ones I ordered. And it was on stream. She came in with it, and everybody was on stream like, wife of the year. Oh my God, she did that for you. It was like the coolest thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and she was there for me when we both went to Pittsburgh for the qualifier last year. And she was like rooting me on. She's been 100%. Like, she's probably, like, there's been times where I was like, I don't know, I think I'm going to give this up. I don't know if I will. And she's been the one actually to push me like, no, you're going to keep doing this. You're good. You're going to keep playing. Like, I don't care what I have to do, you know. And my daughter, like, she really hasn't been like that embarrassed way. Like, she's been like, wow. Like, every time I'll get a PB, I'll tell her, oh my God, Maddie, I just got this score. And she's like, whoa. Like, she's like all excited, like as if she's playing the game.
So cool.
Stands it. You know, she doesn't really get it. Like, she's tried to play a few times. You know, I would love to get her to play it for real, but she like gets excited too. They're both into it big time.
Didn't you say when you went to Pomona that she was like really excited to meet Joseph and stuff? Like you.
Yeah, she was just as excited as I was. Issa, she was like, oh my God, that's Harry. I'm like, how do you know them? How do you? She's like,
right.
Watch the YouTube videos too, you know. I'm like, all right, excuse me. She is just as into. She's actually been playing Tetris herself. You know, I think she's close to 100,000 score. You know,
amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah, she's like into like this thing is like spreading. It's like crazy how many people are getting into it.
I can't get my daughter off Pokemon, so you're a step ahead of me on that
there you go.
dad role.
Yeah, no, my daughter's totally into it, but both of them.
Well, I guess I'm the odd man out. I don't have any kids, so oh well.
Your wife's amazing. Don't sell yourself on that one.
Yeah.
Trying to think how if any other cool stories we want to end this show up with. Did we cover everything? It's been an amazing 2 hours, but this is
It's been fun going down memory lane, you know, and talking about these old times. But I mean, I can't think of any other, you know, other stories. But I mean, actually this Saturday, actually, I don't know when this is actually coming out, but I'll be playing in the main event. I made the top 16 again for the CTM.
Well, when people watch it, they can go back in time and watch the replay of the CTM.
By the time people watch it, I will have made a semifinal for once. You know, I made second round last month. I played Schoolmaster actually from the CTWC, and I almost swept him. But his experience came through, and he came back and destroyed me with a vengeance. But I almost had him. But I'm just having a blast. You know?
So you're definitely making a trip to Portland, though.
Oh, for sure, without it.
If you don't, I'm going to be pissed.
I think you will come here and drag me if I don't. But no, actually, Issa and I have a thing going. Not a bet, but like a deal that if I can get 900,000 at some point throughout the summer, that she'll actually pay for the complete airfare, tickets, and everything for Portland.
Wow.
Damn.
That's how supportive she is of the game.
You're this close, dude. You just hit 800, right?
878 I'm at. Right?
Oh man. Oh.
And he had a Tetris set up.
And I had a Tetris set up on that game. It was going to be, I know it was going to be a 914. And I was like, I can't believe I screwed that up. But anyway, that's how into it she is. She's like, if you get this score, I will pay for the ticket. Like, she's heavy into this gaming thing. I didn't expect it. I thought everybody would be like, Dave, do your thing. You know, let us know how you do it. She's like, I'm going with you. We're going to have fun. It's been awesome.
You coming to Pittsburgh again?
Oh, yeah, I'll be there for sure.
Excellent. I will probably be running it this time. We haven't made the final arrangements yet, but there will be a qualifier in Pittsburgh again. So
awesome.
So he will see you then. I will see you in Portland, and I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yes, that's going to be awesome. I can't wait. Guys, thanks so much for having me on. I really appreciate it. It's been awesome.
Thanks, Tilo. This has been one of the best ones.
Thanks, guys.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Take care.
All right, guys. Take care.